Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. We are on episode 97, and it's actually starting to get really cool when we record these in the morning.
Yes.
Not a good sign.
Winter is coming, for sure.
Yeah, it's probably, 50 degrees?
52.
52 degrees, and it feels like 30. It's
Yeah.
amazing how, during the spring, when you're coming out of winter, 52 feels unbelievably warm,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you're going into winter, it feels unbelievably cold.
Yes.
Obviously not a fan of the cold, but we'll keep on keeping on, I guess.
I was just talking to somebody at work about that the other day, because, I had to wear a hoodie all week,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, where did this cold come from?
It was very quick, instant.
Yeah, Monday was hot, and then Tuesday was like, you better bring a hoodie to work today, because it's going to be frozen outside.
Yeah, it's not fun, obviously. Yeah. I don't know, a lot of people like that. A lot of people like when it starts to get cool out and it's not as warm. I mean, I know, extreme heat can be uncomfortable for some, but I feel like I'd rather, err on the side of extreme heat than extreme cold, for sure. But you take what you can get, I guess, as long as we can be outside, ultimately.
Yeah. What's the old phrase? You can only take so many layers off.
Yeah.
But you can't, you can only put,
Yeah. So I know that that's an argument that people use for cold over heat, but I don't know. I've just always, we talk about it before, just always been more comfortable in the warm climate. You would think that growing up in the Northeast, especially the northern part of PA, that I would get used to snow because it's hellacious, but I don't know, I've never fully adapted to it, I guess, in any capacity where it's been comfortable, or at least, it's borderline intolerable even for me. So I guess I got to stop being a baby and just welcome it, use it as an opportunity to get uncomfortable, I suppose. Speaking of uncomfortable, how's your week?
Good. Very good. A long week. It felt like a long week. Had a long week at work. Not as long a week in the gym, but sore. End of the week, I'm sore. That's a good thing. That's a good sign. So
I'm actually really sore too. I got really sore this week, and it's usually because you have that conversation a lot with people when they talk about soreness, oh, I'm really sore, that was a great workout, or oh, I'm not sore, it goes both ways. So being sore could be indicative of a little bit of a new stimulus, which is beneficial, but then on the flip side, it could also mean you're under recovered a little bit. Well, just because you're sore, though, doesn't mean you're under recovered.
Right.
So there's so many different, soreness can't be indicative one way or the other of a good workout or a bad workout. But regardless, I've been sore because I've had a little bit of a new stimulus because I tried some different things training-wise, more on the side of exercise selection, more so than doing something way different than we've done. And then I've also been focusing on load as much as possible for some, like I told you guys before, what I do is lately I've had a couple core exercises that I think are best, quote, bang for your buck exercises, movements that are going to give me the most amount of benefit. So choosing a full body or a full depth barbell squat over a leg extension or whatever. And those are the exercises that I'm really focusing on load on. And then the other stuff I just look at as metabolic benefits. So I'll just do higher rep or whatever. And I've been going up in weight every week on those exercises. And it's not that just solely predicated on me getting a lot stronger. A lot of it's getting better at that particular movement. I programmed deadlifts back in, which I haven't done for well over a year consistently. Or at all for that matter, actually. I don't even think inconsistently. I haven't deadlifted for over a year. So I'm programming those back in. So I've done those for 3 weeks, and so far I've gone up every week. But again, that's just getting better at the movement itself more so than adding tons of raw strength week to week.
Right.
But regardless, I think the exercise selections that have been different and the emphasis on heavy load for certain movements has left me pretty sore, which is a good thing.
Good.
And then I've been picking stupid stuff at the end of the workout just to try to get some, again, metabolic benefits, or just do something that's really, really hard just because it's difficult. One of my training partners, Chad, and I, yesterday, and I'm feeling the effects today. Yesterday we did a push day with a little bit of an emphasis on chest. So what we did was we focused on 3 movements, which is typical for me. And then we actually added a 4th movement at the end, which was just kind of a burnout, where we added a little bit of weight to the bar and did 1,000 reps total. So we see how many, like I would go to failure, he would go to failure, and then we would go back and forth till we hit 1,000. Now we only had a 10 on the bar, so
Yeah.
like a 10 on each side, so you're looking at 65 pounds. But it was actually crazy how heavy it felt after a while, especially
Oh, I can imagine.
at the very end of a workout. So
Yeah.
that was pretty fun. But
That's exactly the way I'm training everything right now. We're just picking high numbers of reps for every movement for the day. So push days we do 3 movements. I try to do 3 movements every day, and try to keep it right at an hour. So
yeah,
3 movements with really high reps with 3 people, 3 to 4 people is seems to me to be about the best way to keep it at an hour. So, like on push day, we did bench, tricep extensions, and dumbbell press, incline dumbbell press. And we did 300, 300, and I think it was 300 and 300 and 500 of everything. So, it was tough.
Yeah.
You know, especially because, like, my training partners, we all have different weights. So we had to change weights in each time. You know?
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad. Like, I enjoyed it, and I like that style because you're not doing, like, specific sets, specific rep range for each set. It's just, like, go to failure, and you can kind of pick your failure, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, towards the end, you can actually go to failure, but in the beginning, you can go to exhaustion, but not, like, you know, spent. Because sometimes, like, depending on your spotters, you may not be able to pick it up. So...
Yeah, man, I think that, so for me, in terms of training and going only with like 3 specific exercises, I think that it allows me, the biggest thing, and I've talked about this before, the biggest thing the reason why I do it is not just efficiency in the gym, which is obviously important, but then also from the standpoint of it allows me to get better at the movement. And that I'm huge on that, is not changing too many variables with training until they need changed. So it gets boring, and you can kind of get caught up in the monotony of it. But because I know that some people, when they do the same thing every week, they get very bored, and it's not very stimulating, mentally speaking. They have a difficult time, like, getting
excited.
Yeah, getting excited and getting focused. Whereas for me, it actually, coincidentally enough, it does the opposite, because I am so focused on the movements that I do repetitively, because I know what I got. Like, okay, I close grip, 275 for 5 last week. I got to make sure that I go up in weight or get 6 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, I need to make sure that I went up this week in this exercise. So for me, it actually makes it more exciting and more, I don't know if stressful is the right term, but like and I definitely don't want to use the term anxiety, because it's nowhere near that level. But there's a little bit of like some performance nerves that go into play. Like, okay, I have to get this, because, and I've talked about it, you've talked about it, especially a while ago when you and I were training together, about how there's a little bit of disappointment that happens when you don't hit the numbers that you expect to hit.
Yeah.
So like you like, for me, this is the way I look at it, be it immature or whatever. But like, if I'm trying to go up in a movement week to week, obviously there's a million variables that will take that number down or take that number up.
Right.
Like your hydration levels, what your food intake, how your stress management has been, how your sleep's been, like a million
recovery,
things. Yeah. So like, I know that you can't just look at the number and keep it as gospel. But if I don't go up, like if I go up this week and the next week and the next week, and then, the 4th week or 5th week or whatever, I don't go up, or heaven forbid I went down a rep or a couple pounds or whatever, then I look at it as you just wasted your entire week.
Yeah, it's like a huge embarrassing failure to you.
Like, I was supposed to go up. That's the only goal I have, is to go up in this movement, and I didn't go up in it. So from a recovery standpoint, from a hydration, like, did I not drink enough? Did I not eat enough? Did I not sleep enough? Was my stress management not specific enough or executed well enough? Did I, what was the issue, the underlying issue? And again, I know that that's stupid of me to think that way, but
you can't change it.
I get like that. And I'm not, as I've gotten older, I've been a person who doesn't get caught up on little things as much.
Yeah.
But I just think because the training piece is limited when you do something like this. Like if I came in and did 10 exercises and I went down in one of them, that wouldn't be a big deal. But when you come in and you only have 3 movements and only one of them is something that you're logging and actively tracking,
and that one goes down.
and yeah, then it's like, oh, all I had to do was get better at this barbell movement, and I didn't do it.
Yeah,
so
you
what the
can't.
heck did I do or not do?
Yeah, it's really hard to like manage your emotions when it comes to that. Like you have to be able to put yourself in check.
And it sounds stupid, but people who aren't in that type of training space don't really get it.
And it only sounds stupid for a minute because I was one of those people. And then as soon as I started training like that, I got it because it's like you're only writing one thing down. Like, because my notebook used to be, you remember, like every exercise, every weight, every set, everything. And then now it's just one exercise. Like it's literally just one weight and exercise.
Yeah.
And rep range.
I feel like so much serenity and blissfulness and like liberation when I simplify things.
Yeah.
For anything.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that's helped me find success in training and in life has been executing the basics and being as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Like there's so many avenues that I could point to on how I've tried to simplify my life and how it's helped me, because you have to, like for me, like if you see on like a movie or a cartoon or something where the guy goes to his closet and he's got, I remember seeing this on SpongeBob one time, where he's got a closet full of the same outfit, just completely like lined up. And we were talking the other day, me and someone, about having kids in school with uniforms. And I said that I liked that when I was a kid. We had school uniforms because you just wear the same thing every day. You don't have to think. You don't have, it's simplified decision making for me. And it's not that I'm necessarily indecisive and can't make decisions, but I think that there's a lot of benefit to simplifying life. Like for me, it sounds stupid, but like I didn't wear shoes today. I don't wear shoes unless I'm going into a store and have to. So like that's just one less thing that I have to worry and focus on. So like my training, I can simplify and just do 3 exercises.
Yep.
Because I like to, being a little bit of a control freak by nature, I like knowing things also. Like the fear of the unknown, I'm not a big fan of that, obviously. Mm-hmm. So for me, I've always been adamant on air about how I struggle with adaptability of like unforeseen circumstance and spontaneity. So like when something happens, like I can't be one of those people that's like, hey, you want to go do this today? Because like even if I'm free, it's hard for me because I can't like
process the whole repercussions of what happens. I know exactly how you feel.
Okay, so if I'm gone for 2 hours,
what am I missing?
What meals do I need? How do I rearrange these things? Well, I was supposed to do this. And a lot of it's like mental too. It's not just physical things to do.
Yeah.
But like if I come in the gym and I think all day that I'm training or all night that I'm training legs, and I come in the next morning and my training partner hurt his leg and we can't train legs, it like throws me off.
Yeah.
Because mentally that's what I was thinking of. And it's bad to be like that in a sense because life is going to throw you curveballs and you need to adapt. So when I simplify training, that's another way of kind of mitigating, not necessarily the unforeseen circumstance, but instances of like, all right, well, what do you want to do next? Oh, well, how about we do cable flies?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you do cable flies. Well, what do you want to do next? Like it takes the guesswork out of it because I'll have my one exercise that I'll do, and then all I got to do is pick 2 exercises that I like and have fun with and then go from there.
Yep.
That's the other thing that I can say lately about training is it's been fun.
Yes, it's been so fun. So I have 2 new training partners that are a husband-wife team that they just wanted to get in the gym, and they're on my fire station, so they started coming over and working out with me. And they're funny because they've never really spent any time in the gym at all. So like they're new, and the newness is wearing off finally. But like whenever I'm on like a top set or something, they'll count, but they want to know like what I want to do. And like this is just doubling back to what you were saying before, like the failing your like the numbers. So like
Yeah.
if you fall short, you're irritated for like the whole week.
Yeah.
Like every time I lay down to get under on the bench, they say, "How many you going?
How many
for?"
gonna get? Yeah.
And I'm like, I hope I'll get 20, but if I can get 3, I'll be all right. Like I don't know.
Some of my rep progressions have been like that too, where if I have a set of 5, because the exercises that I'm logging, and I'm sure you're the same way, are heavier.
Yes.
Like you're not going to log something that's in like the 40 rep range.
Right.
Because technique can break down. You can cheat the reps as you get fatigued. So there's a lot of variables that are starting to come into play the higher rep. But what I'll do, and lately I've done, is do sets of, like let's say I want to get sets of 5. What I'll do is I'll do sets of 5 and just keep working up. But then so if I get something for 5, I'll put more weight on. And then I'll do it for 5, and then put more weight on. Do it for 5, but I won't stop when I can't get 5. I'll stop when I can't get 2.
Yeah.
So I'll do some heavy triples or some heavy doubles of certain exercises like squats or pressing, just to get that heavy load in too. So it's like, well, my goal is always 5, but I don't know if I'll get 5. I might get 3. I might get 4 with this, because you know how it is when you know your body really well. You can pretty much know what you can do.
You can, and you know what's left. Well, how much you got left in the tank? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's cool once that time hits where you start to learn that.
And what's really fun is when it's hard when you don't know it, but it's actually fun when you really get into a training groove and you get to the point where like you don't know it again because you're progressing.
Yeah.
So like that happened actually, coincidentally enough, that happened to me yesterday. One of the exercises that we were doing yesterday was like a close grip pin press. So for those from the floor. So for people that aren't familiar with that exercise, basically you just lay on the floor in a squat rack. You put the pins down so your arms are about 9 degrees. And so the bar is actually not like on the hooks. So it's resting on the safety pins of the squat rack. So you're lying on your back underneath the bar. And it's basically just like the top half of a bench press.
Right.
So that not isolates, but hits muscles a little bit more directly because of the limited range. So you're locking out, basically going from the middle part of the range to the end part of the range, the full contraction, the concentric part. So you're overloading the triceps. So what I was doing those pin presses with a close grip, because again, the close grip is going to target the triceps even more. So my goal was to get over 3 plates. I didn't care where I was in that range, how many, because this was not an exercise that I'm actively doing week to week. So I was just like, well, I think I'd like to get over 300. We'll see. Let's see what we can do. Or 315 or whatever. So did 315 for reps, and it felt not easy, obviously, because that's heavy for me, but it felt like definitely could go up.
Yeah.
So then what I did was I put a 10 on each side, so it'd be 335, and couldn't get it. And I was like, what the heck? Like 315 felt pretty easy for several reps. So I dropped back down, put on 325 or something, 320. I think it was 320. Got that for reps. Put on 325, got that for reps, and then worked back up to 335 again, and then ended up getting it. So it was kind of strange because, like,
it's that progression.
Yeah, just because I'm getting stronger now, so like I feel like I have a good gauge on what I can and can't do. But then sometimes you surprise yourself. And again, am I adding tons of raw strength? I mean, maybe a little bit, but maybe I was just well hydrated and well rested that day, which accounted for me progressing up a little bit. So it's like we always say with training variables or anything, the trend is your friend.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to go up linearly and direct correlation every day or every week or whatever, but as long as it's going up over time, and you got to, I mean, really, I think what it boils down to is taking more steps forward than steps backwards.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to take steps forward and backwards, but as long as you're taking more forward than you are backward, then you're fine.
Yeah. Rome wasn't built in a day, so.
Yeah, what's that saying I've heard? It's Rome wasn't built in a day, but it was worked on every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I like that. I think that's pretty cool. So actually, in terms of like training and stuff, there's something that goes along the lines of our earlier discussion about getting upset about not hitting markers or certain like particulars that you wanted to hit through that training session. And it's not a training specific discussion, but let's go to a commercial break because there's something I want to pick your brain about when we come back, because I've been thinking about it this week and I think that it has some relevancy to the topic at hand. So let's go to a commercial and I'll ask you that question here in a few moments.
As listeners of the Chasing Dreams podcast, we know that you demand the highest quality at all times. If you're interested in quality, look no further than Beast Mode Baking. Beast Mode Baking aims to bring the highest quality, creative, and of course delicious baked goods to your home with nationwide shipping. All orders need to be pre-ordered to ensure they're packed fresh and shipped out to you as soon as possible. Beast Mode Baking offers a flat rate of $15 for shipping due to the size and weight of the cookies and doughs. So if you're interested in Beast Mode Baking, please contact CEO Shannon Knorr. That's at SKNORR13 on Instagram and order your delicious baked goods today, because every time you support them, you're supporting the podcast as well.
And we're back from our commercial break. Okay, so one of the things that we were talking about prior to the break early on in the episode was we talked about when you hit certain, or when you expect to go in the gym and hit certain weights or certain reps or something that's your goal and you don't do it, it gets very, very frustrating, even though it's such a minimal event, seemingly minimal event. Obviously, it holds more weight, no pun intended, with guys like you and I, but like you get worked up about those things. And I wanted to ask you, because this is something that I've been really, I found a lot of like inner peace lately doing this, which is hard for me because it's very difficult for me to do. I found a lot of inner peace lately because I've been able to alleviate stress and concern with things in my life. And I want to know what type of strategies work for you to basically, I mean, it's a very vague question, but how do you control stress and from work, stress from your hobbies, stress from relationships? The one thing that I thought about, and I don't know why I thought about this, it just was kind of like one of those things that I was ruminating on as I was driving one time. And I don't know, I got in this mindset where I was like, it seems as though, I mean, it definitely is the case, everything in my life that I've ever stressed about has turned out okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm still here.
Exactly.
So like, it's funny because you always hear, oh, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And that never offers you comfort in the moment. Right. At least for me. Like, I don't know, you can tell me that all the time. Like, yeah, I know I assume it's going to be okay, but that's not okay right now.
Right.
So that doesn't make it easy to deal with. So like, it's like, I tell that to like my clients when I'm putting through a really, really, really difficult workout. And I did it a lot with sports teams. I'm like, well, you're not going to die.
Yeah.
So like the pain sucks, but it's not going to kill you. So you'll be okay.
Yeah.
But like, I told myself, man, like everything you've ever been through has been okay.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you starting to stress about this? So I posted on Instagram the other day, and a lot of people know I just bought a new house.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, you want to talk about stressful? Like, unbelievable, dude. Right? Like you, right up there with having a kid. That's about as stressful as it gets from something good happening perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, there could be something bad that could be exponentially more stressful, like losing a house.
Yeah.
But like, for as far as getting something good to happen in your life, that's a stressor.
It is.
And like the other day, I went in there because I had to pick up the keys because they left them in the mailbox or whatever, and I went and I was doing just a quick little run through, and it was the day that we had like torrential downpour, like 2 days ago or whatever. It was raining all day, and I went in the basement and there's a leak out of the bricks, like out of the concrete. Uh-huh. So the basement's leaking. We had the full house inspection, no issues whatsoever, and like they sent me the report, and the report said that everything was okay. Like the home inspector, who's really good, saw that there was like, I don't want to say water damage, because it's an unfinished basement.
Yeah.
Really, really big, but unfinished. But it's painted like a dark blue color, like the floor, the walls, everything's just like a solid blue color. Well, you could tell that the paint was like a streak, like when your makeup runs or something. You could tell. And he said that it all looked old and he didn't think it was leaking. Well, anyway, long story short, I go down there and it's leaking. And there's like this big trail all over the floor down to the drain. And it's not leaking a ton. I mean, it's just a stream of water, but it's not ideal, especially when you didn't anticipate it. So what I did was I called my agent and said, is there anything we can do about this? I mean, I obviously signed off the house. It's now in my name. Everything was done the day before. She's like, well, unfortunately, there's not. I mean, we can go back and possibly look at the house inspection. And I thought to myself, you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
check.
like I've already spent, nearly $100,000+ on this house. So like,
Yeah.
if I have to pay a little bit extra money to get this fixed, whatever. And even if it is a bad leak, like, all right, so the unfinished basement leaks a little bit at this point. Like, do I want to finish it someday? Sure. Am I going to finish it anytime soon? No. So who cares if it leaks? And it was like this, like, it's almost like this overwhelming sense of pride that I had in myself, because I was like, look, I didn't get mad about that.
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to be okay. And that never happens to me. Like, I would let that fester in my brain for days and literally weeks. And I would stress about that at school until I got it fixed. I would stress about it at the gym until I got it fixed. And you think that and then you realize too, because like I'm going through this checklist of everything that needs done at the new house. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to get done with it. Especially me being as busy as I am. So I'm like, you're never going to have the house exactly how you want it.
Nope.
So like,
have to have a long checklist.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's how I'm going to conduct it. And so anyway, this little stress about this leak kind of turned into like this bigger thought in my head, where I said, you know what? That leak's going to be okay. And then that's what kind of led to me saying, you know what? Everything in my life that I've stressed about so far up until this point has been okay. So like, why do I allow literally some water, a little bit of water, to like completely ruin my week or my month? Like that's dumb.
Yeah.
So like, I want to know, because I don't think that I do anything specific to help that. I think the only thing that I've done to help it is just get a little bit more experience and be a little bit more mature.
Check.
That's the only thing that's helped. So like, is there anything in particular that you do or that you've done over the years, or maybe recently, that like helps you? Because we always talk about like our jobs and how many hours we work. You have a newborn. Like, how do you minimize stress, or how do you put things in perspective? Do you have like specific strategies that you do? I know one thing that you talk about is using the gym as an escape, especially because you have your gym at your house. So it's convenient in multiple aspects, but especially from the standpoint of, if I can immediately remove myself from this situation and I'm stressing, I can just go downstairs and start lifting.
Yep.
So like, what is there anything else in addition to that, or is it pretty much just like using your basement or your garage as like the sanctuary for peace?
That's kind of it, but no, I mean, I just think like, I kind of think what you do, like how you said, it's not going to kill me.
Yeah.
And it's not going away. So I don't know, prioritize and execute every issue. And whatever is the priority gets done, and then whatever's not will get done later.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so like whenever I was training for triathlon, some things were really hard at first, and I was stressing that I wasn't going to be able to complete the race.
Yeah.
And my dad looked at me and he said, you can do anything for an hour. So take each training block hour by hour. You can do anything for an hour.
You might not complete the race in a great time, but you can physically do it.
Yeah, and so that was once I thought about it and was like, all right, check.
Yeah, I'm going to finish it.
Yeah, it's going to get done. So whatever, I'm not Lance Armstrong. I'm not going to set a land speed record or anything, so.
I actually kind of like that analogy, though, how you used the race. Okay, the race is going to get finished no matter what. So if I have something in life, it's going to get finished eventually. Yeah. Like, I may not be able to fix the wall within the next couple weeks, but it'll get fixed.
And it's ironic that you're talking about a wall and a leak in the basement, because I have a wall and a leak in a basement in my basement that's driving me crazy. And what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the extra money. I don't have the extra time right now to fix it. So I'm minimizing the leak and pushing back planning to build the wall, and I will get it done when it gets done.
Yeah.
Like whenever everything lines up, then it's going to be able to get done. It'll get done, I promise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But until then, I am not going to lose sleep over trivial things, because there's more things that are important in life.
Yeah.
And I think that's it right there. The trivial versus important. So if it's something that isn't really important, like life or happiness, I don't have time to allow it to bother me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I'm perfect and I don't let it bother me, but like when I start to really like sit in a dark room and think about something that's stressing me out, I'm like, dude, you got to stop. Like, you have to stop. Like, it's not going to something. A, you can't change it, and B, it's not affecting you in like directly. Like,
one thing that I have done in the past that was probably a poor strategy because it was effective in the short term, but ineffective and actually detrimental in the long term, was ignoring problems through distraction. So, like, when I went through a lot of difficult times in my life, especially when I was younger in high school, I created a lifestyle that allowed me to be nonstop.
mm-hmm.
So people ask, how do you do all this? Like, how do you do all the things that you do? How do you work from like 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day? How do you go nonstop? How do you have so much energy with your clients? And I tell them that what I do is I've always done this. Like, from when I was in high school, like, I would go and lift before school started.
Yeah.
I had a teacher that would let me into the school early before like it opened. If it quote open, I would get there at 5:30 and lift in the weight room with my buddy and one of my teachers, who was like a mentor to me. And then after school, I would go to practice for whatever sport I was playing at the time, whether it was football or basketball or whatever. And then after practice, I would go to work. I would wash dishes at Cracker Barrel.
Nice.
And then, like, so I've been doing this, and then same thing in college. I had 2 jobs in college.
Yeah.
I would work as the head of security. Well, I eventually worked my way up to head of security, but I was a bouncer at a club in the inner city, and I would work until 3 in the morning, get home at 3:30 or so, get to bed at like 4 after I showered and was cleaned up, go to bed at 4 in the morning, and then wake up for 8 a.m. classes. So I've been doing this my whole life, and I think a lot of it started when I started to like accrue a lot of anxiety. And then once that started to build up, I needed a distraction because I didn't think about anything. So I made myself then that busy mentality kind of carried with me forever.
Right.
And that distractibility. But what happens when you do that is you are trying to mitigate or alleviate a stressful situation or a stressful environment, and by compounding it with more stress. Like, your body doesn't designate between mental stress, physical stress, emotional stress. Like, it's all a stress. It's all inflammatory in a sense.
Right.
And like, I've always tried to get away from thinking about things. Like, if something bothers me, I can't think about it. Whereas now I've been trying to greet those things. So like, think about the leak in the basement and sit there and say, okay, I got this leak. Can I fix it immediately? No. Do I need to fix it immediately? No. When is the timeline that I think that I can fix this? Who can I contact to discuss this with? What is the worst case scenario for this situation? What is the best case scenario for this situation? And then when you sit there and you think about it, like, that's one thing that talking with a therapist when I was younger helped me, is like, greet anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
When you have those thoughts or those feelings or whatever, like, we talk a lot about mental health. Don't ignore its presence.
Right.
Like, greet it. Say, hello, I know that I feel anxious. I know that I have irrational thoughts right now. That's okay. This is how I feel. This is what's sparking it. I know that, again, like we started, it's going to be okay in the end.
Yep.
So like, I think that sometimes when we try to use other things as a distraction to not think about it, I think that ends up being worse for us, at least for me.
No, I agree. You can't back burner things. You know what I mean? Because you're just going to back burner things until the house burns down. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because like, eventually you will overwhelm yourself, because no matter how hard you try not to think about it, your brain never stops.
Yeah.
So
you might as well just think about it.
Yeah. Because once you shove something so far into your subconscious, you stop frontwardly, like out in the front of your mind, thinking about it. But eventually, your subconscious is going to get full, and then all of that's coming back all at once. So it's like, that's why I said prioritize and execute. Like, I think about where it lies in the priority level. Like, does my daughter having a cold overpower me going downstairs and working out? Yep. Her comfort right now is more important than my progression.
Yeah.
So, and there, I'm sure will come a time where she can self-soothe, and I won't need me as much, and then maybe they'll come back to even.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, I have to prioritize next year. So whatever it is, do I need to go to bed right now, or do I need to make my meals for tomorrow? Because we talked about that months ago. Where are you more willing? Or are you more likely to make your meals in the morning if you go to bed and get that extra 30 minutes of sleep, or would you be better off making them tonight?
Yeah.
So you're having them made for tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
You sleep sounder.
Yep.
So it's just a matter of what is the priority, and make sure you put your things in the right place in your life. Like, I don't want to talk about your mind because I'm not a psychologist, but like, the trash versus the dishes versus sweeping the floor. Which one comes first?
Uh-huh.
And then just do it.
Well, I'm like, dude, I've been like that, trying to prioritize, like the sleep thing, for example. That's a good one for me, because like there's certain checklists that I need to have before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like I need to have my clothes, like, because I go to the gym before work, obviously. So I have to have my clothes for work in the car, hanging in the back seat. Like, I got all this, like, my gym bag has to be out there. My food bag has to be on the counter with my meals prepped, but in the fridge. Like, I have all these things that I need to do. One of which is the kitchen has to be completely clean.
Mm.
So all the dishes need to be washed, and they need to be dry too and put away. I can't just even have them in like the strainer, like drying. Like, they got to be put away. Like, every shoe has to be put away. Like, everything. And there's times lately, and this is kind of me showing a little bit of maturity or growth, I guess, in a sense, where I can see like a cup in the sink and say, you know what? That cup can sit there. It'll be okay if I don't get that cup right now, because you'll have a problem, at least I do, where it becomes a slippery slope. Then you got to wash the cup, and then you see something else that needs cleaned, and then it's like, now I'm in bed a half hour late.
Yeah.
So, like you said, prioritize. What is more important to me right now? My sleep and my recovery and my health, or this cup getting washed? And it sounds silly, but like,
legit,
those priorities you'll skew.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And then if you fall short, it's okay.
Yeah, it is. And so, like, that's kind of like the take-home message that I wanted to kind of bring up and discuss, is like, how do you get there? But is the big question. But then realizing that everybody's going to get there to the point where everything's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have to just somehow continue to tell yourself that everything will be okay. I'll come out of this. I always do, always have, and then just kind of go from there. I mean, I know that, again, it's a lot easier said than done, because I can come on this podcast and talk about how you don't sweat the small stuff and don't let those things get to you, because I'm having a good day because it's only 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I wouldn't have this same tone 12 hours from now after my day's over if something bad happened, right? Because then it's very hard to give like a motivational stay positive speech when something negative happens to you. That's why I try to be that type of person all the time.
Right.
Like, hey, I got a lot of crap going on right now, but gotta stay positive, because it's easy to, it's like the Instagram thing. Like, it's easy to be positive when your life's positive, but then suddenly those people go silent when they have a little bit of stress. Like, I need to continue to preach or practice what I preach when my life is stressful, because it's easy to give advice to people who are stressed, but then when you're stressed, you don't take that advice,
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to hopefully continue this positive message as I go.
I agree, and it's so much healthier. Like like from a mind body perspective.
Oh yeah.
Like you just you do better as a person when you're positive, and when you have positive thoughts and forward thinking and organized thoughts.
I've never been one to make progress in the gym mad.
No.
Even in the short term. Like, I know people that use that as like a release, a tension release, or an anger release, which is fine if it works for you and you find it to be therapeutic in a sense. But like, I can't do that, again, because of like the stress and the dwelling on things. Where if I have something that's bothering me, like, I can't even go to the gym.
Yeah.
Because it'll be that bad and that ineffective of a workout, because I'm so worked up about it.
Like we said, like you said, I use the gym as a release. More of stress, not anger. Like, I don't think I've ever went downstairs and worked out because I was mad, or went to the gym because I was mad.
Yeah.
Stressed out or whatever, yeah, absolutely, but not angry. It's too hard. It's too hard because I feel like I'm going to hurt myself. You know, I mean, because you get careless.
And I don't want to criticize people who do that because some people, again, find it therapeutic or they find it effective. So, like, hey, if you find that the gym is helping you release anger, then it seems like a lot more reasonable of a decision to take it out on the weights than take it out on something or someone.
Yeah.
But that's just not how I've always operated. I wouldn't be the type of person that could do that. I can't train angry. And I noticed that long-term and short-term, my best progress in the gym or in life has been when I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
Because I'm a lot more productive. I'm a lot more energetic. So the mind-body connection is something that you can't. I mean, they're inseparable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like your mind and your body are one. So sometimes if you feel like you're lacking physical progress, maybe you need to check in mentally and see how you're doing, because a stressful brain isn't going to yield any type of results that you're looking for, I think.
Absolutely. That's the best. That's like the best takeaway message ever is just clear your mind and have a clear, focused goal on everything. So and then prioritize. Yeah. In my opinion,
everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, everything's going to be all right. And like, chill. It's cool, man.
So that could be our actionable step this week. Is for everybody out there, just if you encounter something this week that's stressful or that's inconveniencing, try to look at it in the light of it's going to be okay.
Yep.
Think about Justin and I. Think about the episode, and if that happens to someone this week, I encourage you guys to reach out and share it, because I think that'd be cool for people to share something that they encountered this week and how it affected them mentally and what they were able to take away from it, or not take away from it in a sense, like how they were not able to get worked up and they just allowed it to kind of be like proverbial water off the back.
I could probably almost do that every week too.
Yeah.
How I failed at this, because I do.
Yeah. Same.
I'm consistently failing, but I think I and equal and opposites.
Yes.
Do better.
Yes.
So.
All right. So with that, we have come to the end of another episode of the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. This has been episode 97. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and we look forward to hearing back from you next week.
Unbreakable, unstoppable, I'm pushed to